way that you started, she could tell you what a surface sees. I can have a rainy day fund for emergencies and flip it on a Genesis and say it was emergency. Look, don't mean a thing if you don't treat it with some urgency. So it's on remote control, I put it in my own hands. Watch me get my own bands and watch me do my own dance. I thought of all these gold plans and drew with my own crayons. That's until I'm old ass. Yeah, yellow jacket on, artifact about to let me forge it, then I'm acting up. All these years, metaverse is where I'm actually from. Monolith box for you rappers, told them pack it up. 8219, and we are here for State. Web3. It's going down. It's actually down. Hello all and welcome all. I'm your host, Boo. And today we have a jam-packed show for you with a great special guest. Tune in. Hello and welcome everybody. Yo, hit me with a thumbs up if you hear me good. I got some new corded headphones in. Give me an emoji, hit me with the thumbs up. Let me know if you're hearing me. Thank you everybody. So we're sounding good. Listen, I got some feedback over the last 24 hours. Apparently I sounded awful. Well, I fixed that. We sound great today. And with that, this is episode 54, baby. 54 weeks in a row. We haven't missed an episode. We haven't missed a week yet. And oh my gosh, I'm so excited for today's guest. So let me just get into it. I'm your host, Boo, with my incredible co-host, JPEG J, and my producer of this show. We are live right now on X, and we are live on YouTube. If you got YouTube Premium, you can watch us on live. The video is incredible. You can mute us on live and still hear us on X and participate on X. You can do both. Come on. I know you DJs can do it. We love to get all DJing with it, right? Share it the space, guys. Give it some love. Drop your favorite photo that you've ever seen and or taken in the bottom, because today we're talking photography. We're talking with a photographer. Again, we're live on YouTube. This show is done for 1 hour. The first half laser focused on our guests, and the second half focused on you, the audience. If you guys want to come up, ask some questions, throw some thought, throw some flowers at our incredible guest today, let's do that. Did I mention, again, we're live on YouTube? Okay, with that, I want to give a big warm welcome to our special guest, driven by boredom today, who is an incredible photographer that is able to capture images that make you feel as if you were standing there in the moment itself. I have enjoyed his work over the years. I especially love it when he goes to the gathering of the Juggalos every year and documents it. I mean, seriously, he does the ground to earth, like he brings it back. You feel like you're actually in the audience when he's documenting it, and he lets you know if, certain people, certain artists, they're not pulling their weight when they come up there to show it off. And he's just covered every kind of cultural niche. With that, I want to give a big warm welcome to Nate Igor Smith, aka Driven by Boredom. How are you today?
Hey man, good. How's it going?
Good. Did you find your headphones too? You sound good.
I didn't. I need the dongle.
Yo, I made a big mistake. I forgot to check on my co-host, JPEG J. How are you doing today, love? You sold some incredible art out at New York Comic Con last week. And I know Driven by Boredom's been at New York Comic Con too, so it does relate.
No, I'm doing really good. You sound great on my end. I also just got headphones. We bought the exact same ones. And if you watch the YouTube, you'll see a moment where the music ends. I put Boo on the screen, and then there he is looking very disinterested, plugging in his headphones and then going, "Welcome, everybody." So there's a reason to watch back. But yeah, everybody's doing great. Really excited for your other project coming out with Stapleverse. That was a big highlight of the day. So, looking forward to that.
Hell yeah. With that, let's get back to our special guest, Driven by Boredom. Again, share the room, give it a like, follow Driven by Boredom, because he's just like me. We're not blue check, we're old school out here. We've known each other well over a decade now. So let me just back it up here. How are you doing today? You said you're literally shipping out packages right now?
Yep, I just finished, so good timing. Got the new zine out, and I've been shipping them all week, and we're finally caught up again.
Are you joining us from Brooklyn or Manhattan? Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn, Williamsburg.
Sick, Williamsburg. Yo, I moved there and then I got moved out because the rent was too damn high. Where are you originally from, Driven by Boredom?
DC.
Do you want me to call you Nate, Igor, Driven by Boredom? Seriously, how can we keep it to one name?
I'd go Nate or Igor. Definitely not Driven by Boredom. But you can pick whichever. Nate's my real name. Igor's a nickname. I go by either.
And was it true you got your nickname Igor because you were like lifting some weights or like some discus in school and they started calling you Igor because you were hunched over? And by the way, thank you for closing out our October show. I think it's just on brand here.
Yeah, when I was a freshman in high school, I was on the shot put and discus team, and I had to carry all the shot puts like this, and so they started calling me Igor, and it just stuck forever, my whole life. Yeah.
I love that. I actually got my nickname Boo in high school and it stuck too. You know what I mean? So I don't think it was a bad thing. I'd rather other people give me a nickname than like, kind of give myself a nickname because it's hard. When people pick a nickname, they kind of go back and forth with it. You know what I'm saying? So I love it that you did that. I was looking through all these old YouTubes going back 15 years ago. It's funny that you're literally drinking some rum, brother, with some vitamin B shots. And it's funny now because it's like, now you're working for an official rum company, like one of the big names out there. Did you ever see yourself doing that when you were being a DJ and doing these rum shots?
Yeah, I think I was actually working for them at the time. Probably, I remember I I did some events with them with that same band that I was making that video for. It was just like to promote my old punk band.
So
But yeah,
that
I've been
must go
working.
to.
I've
Oh, I'm
been
sorry.
working for Sailor Jerry for like almost since 2011, 12, something like that. So over a decade.
Jay and I had the pleasure of going to one of your Sailor Jerry events that you photographed, and she still says to this day it's one of her favorite photos of us. Like you took a great photo, captured it of us. I mean, and that was like I want to say it's like 6 years ago, 5 years ago. I've got your zine over here. Hopefully JPEG J will move my screen down so I can run away and grab it over there. I got a zine over here that you produced in 2015, man. It's just there's so much here to get onto it. So like tell us how you got involved with Web3, crypto, and then started making your own projects.
Yeah, my brother, he's a little bit of a degen, and he got me buying, Bitcoin and Ethereum in like 2017. Um, and then, when I first heard about NFTs, it was like, weirdly enough, I actually had an NFT before I'd even heard of NFTs. I had some like wax Garbage Pail Kids cards from like early 2020. But in like January 2021 was like the first time I'd heard about NFTs as like an NFT. And so I texted him and was like, "Hey, do you know about this?" And he was like been doing crypto kitties and all that stuff back in the day, and he was like, "Oh yeah, man." He's like, "I made so much money in the last couple of weeks," and I like look at his OpenSea, and he's been like flipping hash masks for 40 grand, and I was just like, "What is happening?" And so that's sort of how I got into it. And I'm just like a collector at heart, and I spend money on like phone games and stuff, and I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. It didn't maybe make sense like the amount of money people were spending on it, but it like I instantly got NFTs like immediately. So um, I was really excited about that, and I released my first NFT for the 20th anniversary of my website, Driven by Boredom. And I just made this logo as an NFT in like March. I guess it was actually technically February 2021. But then, since then I've done a lot of photography stuff.
Ooh, you point to the logo, which I think is very important. It's very iconic for me. I mean, I grew up like watching you. Like I grew up being a guy in Virginia being like, I can't wait to go to fucking New York and like live this lifestyle that you were documenting. How old is that logo? Is that your first original logo?
No, I had a logo earlier. I had two logos before this one. When I was in college, I was managing a band, and we needed a production logo for a DVD we put out. And it was like the first Driven by Boredom Productions release. And so I wanted like this kind of VCR looking uh, logo. And so a friend of mine designed just like the basic logo, and then another friend of mine did this like really funny like 80s animation of the logo. And so it was just for that one project, but then I ended up using it for everything. So um, it's stuck around.
So not to age you too much here, but you remember when it came on with dial-up. Does Web3 kind of remind you of those days when you ran home and you jumped on instant messenger?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Not so much like the early days of the internet, like when I was like in high school or anything, but when I started Driven by Boredom, which was 2001, there was like a really strong community of people who were like bloggers before blog was a word. And it was like people who were like documenting their lives and had these like what was called at the time EN, stand for Everything Nothing websites. And there's like a big community of us, and we would like talk on IRC, which was like Discord, and we would, like it just felt like everyone was like, this is so stupid. They're like, why are you documenting your life? Like, I can't, who wants to hear about like your day? Who wants to see the photos you took of like whatever? And of course, like that's our whole life now. Um, and it, in this like community, I mean, maybe not right now when everything's sort of, not great, but like in those early days of NFTs, like 2021, it felt so much like those early days of like pre-blogger bloggers. But the big difference and why things have gotten ruined is because it's like all about money. Like when we were doing those blog sites, like it was just for fun. And I know the people who were making digital art before 2021, those people were doing it just for fun. They did it because they were interested in it. It wasn't about like making money. And I think that, you know, maybe getting some of that stuff out of here is like going to be a good thing ultimately. And hopefully we can find a way to like bring things back in a way that's like more sustainable and less about flipping coins and more about art and technology and doing cool shit like spaces and events and meeting people and building community.
I couldn't agree more, because if this wasn't episode 54, I think I'm crazy for what I'm doing. So that's why I love to highlight people like you in the space. Again, everybody, if you're just tuning in, we're live on YouTube and we're live on X. Go get ahead and give the room a share. Give Driven by Boredom a follow, because we love it when these people are up here sharing their time and sharing their wealth of knowledge with us. So with that, when did you first pick up a camera? Was it for money or was it for fun?
I picked up a camera because I had to take art class in high school, and I started like a punk zine when I was 14, um, and then I started a record label when I was 15, and it was like about then when I was, having to take a class, and I thought if I'm gonna do, maybe I'll do photography. My mom has a camera. Like this will be something that like I can use for the zine. I can use it for the record label. I can like document this like punk scene in DC in the mid '90s. And when I first started, I was like very bad at photography. I think I got like a C in my first photo class, but it was like taking photos of like still lifes and shit. It was like so boring to me. And for some reason, I like took a second class and I started shooting like punk bands and stuff. And my photo teacher was like, "Oh shit! Like you might suck at like developing photos, but you got something here." And she really like nurtured that. And I think I was like a pretty good photographer by the time I graduated high school. And then I feel like I got a lot worse after that. And then maybe I got a little bit better again.
I went and grabbed your zine right here. It's an incredible zine.
Oh,
It's got
art,
some of my
yeah.
favorite artists in it, called Art. You did this in 2015. We got Buff Monster in there, L'Amour Supreme, L. You've got black and white photos in here. So I want to ask you, do you
Yeah.
prefer taking black and white photos or prefer doing color?
I prefer to use whatever tool makes the most sense. I think like less black and white versus color is my, people talk a lot more about like digital versus film. And I, I think that like I shoot a lot of film. Uh, it's something I'm like very passionate about, and I prefer generally my film photographs. Like this new zine is almost all film, um, but like for work I shoot digital, and digital makes you a much better photographer because you can shoot, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos every day, and um, to me that is like um, it's like such a good way to get better. But on the flip side of that, shooting film makes you slow down. It makes you think. It makes you like be like, do I really want to take this shot? Should I compose a little better? Should I take this extra second? I shoot all manual when I'm shooting film, so it's like, okay, I'm gonna slow down. I'm gonna think about this. Um, Or then I have like my point and shoot film camera, you know, this little guy, just like I shoot with that. It's the exact opposite. It's like almost more like an iPhone. It's like this immediacy. You just take a photo and then it's like fun to find out if it came out or not. Because usually the autofocus isn't great on those things, but you know, but I shoot a lot of black and white because it really, you know, it stands the test of time, and it makes you think about light differently. Like I don't think about the color of light anymore. I just think about like the totality of the light. And so I only shoot black and white film. I don't shoot black and white digital. It seems like cheating or something. I also think black and white digital tends to look really bad. Once in a while, like I see something that looks pretty good, but generally black and white digital looks terrible. So yeah, those are my hot takes.
Yo, I don't know if everybody saw that because they're not watching the YouTube stream, but I think he just pulled out the camera, snapped it on us just like he said he did, and put it right back into his pocket. We got it, man. We got to get a clipper. If anybody knows a video clipper out there in Web3, we need one. Let's collab because that was incredible. Did you just do that or am I lying?
Well, I just opened and closed it. There would be no like that. It'd be a
It
terrible
would just
photo.
be a screen. It would just be a flash of your laptop or screen.
I mean, you know what? We'll do it. Here you go. Let's see what that looks like, Larry.
Let's go, yo. This is how you get yourself in the history books, everybody. Fucking closed mouths don't get fed. Igor, you taking so many incredible photos, especially of celebrities, and sometimes those photos, you know, circle around and you don't get credit. I'm sorry that happens. Is there a particular photo that you've taken that holds a special place in your heart that you could describe to our listeners?
I mean, are you asking about that Bill Murray photo? Is that
Damn,
the pitch?
man.
Is that
See,
what you're?
we just sync like that. Yes, I've seen you post it at least a couple times now.
Yeah, no, I have a photo of Bill Murray and a puppy that has been turned into a meme that has been, you know, millions and millions and millions of views. It's definitely. I have a handful of photos that have been seen by like millions and millions of people, but that's the one that just keeps coming back. It's like every, I don't know, once a month I'll get tagged in some Instagram post, and it's always the same meme. And they took a digital photo and converted it to black and white, which drives me fucking nuts, as I mentioned. It's cropped weird, and it's not even the best photo from that shoot. So you know, that kind of stuff bugs me. But you know, like we talked about, I've been on the internet for a long time. Like people steal images. You know, I mean, I steal images. I post stuff on Twitter all the time. You know, it's like, I don't know where they came from. It's not like these people are intentionally not crediting me, you know, like they're not crediting whoever they stole it from themselves. But you know, it's just like how the internet works. And you know, we had this idea that maybe NFTs and the blockchain would like do something about that. But you know, for now, I think you just got to deal with it. And you know, when I see them blow up, it's always a good reason to like retweet it and be like, hey, you know, one day I'll like make an NFT of that, but it hasn't happened yet. Although I do have a Tezos NFT from an outtake from that day. If you can like find my Tezos account, there might be oh yeah, there you go, right up there. There's that Bill Murray outtake at the bottom there. I love that you can't even see the. I hate the censorship on the internet. I guess most of you aren't watching on YouTube, but when he pulled up my Tezos, all these photos are blurred because they're like vaguely. They don't even have nudity. They're just like nude adjacent.
I love it. I love it. You're our first photographer we've interviewed up here. And I love that our show has lasted a year because you're the kind of guest that I've been building up for, man. Literally goosebumps right now. The taboo, baby. The not safe for work, everybody. We had a pre-chat. We had to make sure things were blurred because when you build up your platform, you don't want it to get taken down by one nipple, even though we all got nipples, baby, because we all got them right before the chromosome gets split. We're learning science up here today, too. No, I love that, Igor. It's incredible what you're doing with all these different projects. Off the Hook is another project, and you've done your link tree kind of in order of most recent, right? Most active, and there's a zine element with that too. You cannot get away from these zines.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love physical stuff. Yeah, the new zine is. Let's see. I got one here. Wait, no, I don't. It's my girlfriend's zine. There we
Is this the same girlfriend that you sent a get well to card to because you had her buy ETH at 3,100?
Yeah. She finally sold it despite me telling her not to, and you know, she took a bath. So I found a, you know, get well, you know, like sorry for your loss card, and threw $200 cash in there and
Hey,
gave it
she's
to her.
still with you. That's the most important part here.
She's also on the cover of the zine, Off the Hook. There's an NFT edition of this cover that comes with a special edition, which is the one I'm holding. And the special edition comes with the zine. It comes with a print. It comes with the, you know, the NFT if you get that. And yeah, there's a bunch of cool photos of people on their phone. I don't know.
One of the coolest photos I thought really related back to like kind of where we started our relationship was that when we met at a Mishka event, and literally the lady was wearing a Mishka Psychic TV collab, right? So it's funny, like photos can connect us not just by the individual who's wearing them, kind of what the individual is wearing themselves.
Yeah.
I,
So go on.
I guess that was a statement more than a question. I was just hoping you would go more into the Mishka Trouble and Bass, Fool's Gold. God, that was such a fun era,
yeah.
brother.
Yeah, man. Mishka is like where I'm sitting right now is like 3 blocks from 350 Broadway, the original store. And you know, I've lived here since before that store opened, and I just went, like, they were having like a sale, just kind of garage sale of like old stuff, and I bought like a Mishka hat, and someone saw me wearing it who worked for Mishka, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to shoot this lookbook for us? Like, we see you know, you like our stuff." And you know, I had just been burnt on like 2 lookbooks in a row that I had shot, and like they never even came out, and I did a bunch of work for nothing. And you know, I was like, I'm never doing that again. I'm not shooting a lookbook for free. And you know, they promised me all this, like, you know, Mishka merch, and I don't know. I don't know why I did it, to be honest. Like, I guess I have no idea why I did it. But I was like, all right, I'll shoot this lookbook, and it was, you know, it was a great decision. That became like a relationship for years. Like, I so much Mishka stuff I've been given. You know, it's like all I wore for years because like Greg would just hand me a bunch of stuff, and I did my first book release party with them, and you know, it was a great relationship, and you know, I love Mishka, so it's great to, and yeah, it's cool. That's how we met.
Yeah, man, it's super cool. And when you would come to the warehouse, they would hook you up with anything. And I love that now I'm getting to interview you. And Web3 brought us together for the audience to know. I was deep in a Discord late 2021. There you were. You were in Discord too, and we were connecting. Then later on at 2022, we connected at a Ferocious show. And do you have physical Ferocious shoes? Am I wrong?
I think they're right.
Oh, he's pulling them up on the video stream. Let's see him.
Yeah. I keep forgetting this is like mostly spaces and that you guys can't see me, but this, I'm like, oh man, I just made a mess. But yeah, they're here. Yeah,
Yes.
it's like one of the first NFTs I ever bought. It's the first NFT I flipped, that's for sure.
So tell me why it was so easy for you to buy an NFT like that would maybe become a shoe or not, and you had no problem spending money like that. Was it because of, you know, your past experience being a collector with pre-orders, Kickstarters, the works? Like, why were you so bullish? Why were you so convicted?
I mean, to be honest, that was purely a flip, and my brother was like, "Yo, buy this," and I had no idea anything about FIWO. I like just was like, "All right, I will trust you." Uh, you know, I spent like $3,000 or something on that, which was like terrifying to me. Just put on my credit card, then sold it 2 hours later for like a $2,000 profit or something. And that got me hooked on like the degen side. You know, I was like, the art side already made sense to me, but like the degen side, like, you know, that was like a whole nother thing. And then I met I met Victor like, I don't know, a few months later. Just seemed like the nicest dude. And then when I had a chance to get those shoes, I actually won a contest to get those shoes. So I'm never, those shoes are important to me now, but like I didn't have the conviction at the time. I just was like, oh, I can make money real quick. And then like 2 weeks later, I bought like Steve Aoki's NFT because that dude was a friend of mine back in the day, and like immediately lost money on it. And I'm like, all right, I gotta stop doing this nifty gateway stuff. This is you know.
Was that before Steve Aoki was the top signal, or was that when he was just getting there?
That was it. That was the top signal. That was like the end of Nifty Gateway as far as I'm concerned.
I love it that you're always so honest. You're even more honest in person, but I don't think that's the case. You're honest everywhere you are. I want to ask this here. What are you as far as a photographer? You're not a landscape photographer. I wouldn't call you a wildlife photographer. I wouldn't call you a sports photographer. What kind of photographer would you label yourself? Because people love labels.
I just take photos of people, and I don't use any gear other than my camera. So, like to me, even when I do portraits, I come at it from like a sort of a documentary point of view. All my favorite photographers are, street photographers and documentary photographers. So, my bread and butter is event photography. So, I guess you could say I'm an event photographer. And, I like documenting wild shit, that's what I'm drawn to, whether it's juggalos or nudity or, some, just total insane madness. Oh, there's the throwback site.
The throwback site is crazy.
YouTube,
the rave days and all of that. Oh my gosh. So till people were up till 11 in the morning. But these are real people. This is a real genre. This was a culture. Like this was a scene, just like kind of like the scene we're here right now. Like I'm glad you're in it with us. You know what I mean? You don't have all day to be on Twitter Spaces like sometimes like I am being a DJ. You mentioned that event spaces are your thing, but you also
there's Steve Aoki right there on what you're pulling up.
You got a photo of Aoki. Oh,
yeah,
cool.
Riding a mechanical bull in 2008.
That was the sign. The bull that he was riding the bull, not the bulls.
Oh, yeah. Why
interesting.
Have I not thought about that?
Why haven't you used this? This needs to be on the blockchain.
Yeah,
but this is good. This is why we have these conversations.
Yeah,
I got 2 more minutes with my guest up here.
That.
And if anybody wants to request up to ask questions, throw in some thoughts. Again, this is the first time I am highlighting a photographer on my space and talking about photography. Also, what is it? Okay, so I was going back to a question. You mainly do events, but you also do set up shoots. When you're doing these shoots, is it spontaneous, or are you really worried about, like you were talking about, the lighting and trying to get that golden hour?
No, it's whatever, man. I just find a person and a place and let's do some weird shit and figure it out. I like to pride myself on being able to shoot pretty much anywhere and very quickly. And so, I've done a lot of shoots. I mean, that shoot with Bill Murray that we were just talking about, I think I had, 10 minutes with him maybe, and half that time was trying to get the dogs to do what they're supposed to do. But, that kind of stuff, I just like, I just wanted to feel real, so the less setup, the less props, the better.
Wait, what about these dogs? I want to lean into that. He has 2 dogs, 3 dogs, and you had to like wrangle his dogs?
Oh, no, they weren't his dogs. The movie, it was like a press thing for the movie Isle of Dogs, the Wes Anderson movie. So they had a bunch of like Instagram famous dogs dressed up as Wes Anderson characters. And then they had a bunch of rescue puppies like the one that Bill Murray is holding. And so I photographed the cast with the rescue puppies. And it was all to, raise awareness for Best Friends Animal Sanctuary or Animal Shelter. And it was so much fun, but the dogs were a lot. And it was like an all-day thing, photographing dogs and celebrities back and forth. Yeah, there's pretty good stuff from that. I have like a video of on my phone somewhere of Jeff Goldblum like singing to a dog. It's pretty good.
That's crazy. You're doing so much out there. I mean, it's not just your work that speaks for itself too. You must be like a really good like social person on set. And I've met somebody in Bushwick who was a photographer, and all they did was take photos of like purses and shoes, and they literally had fake ice for like glasses, and they were like, "Yeah, man, I'm just socially weird. I just take photos of like subjects that don't talk back to me." Have you, by being the subjects, mainly being people, has it gotten you better, like socializing, learning about cues, like being able to read a room?
To be honest, I feel like I got worse when I was a photographer. I used to like go out and like be able to have fun, and then like I just started bringing my camera out with me so much it sort of became like a social crutch. Like people would see the camera and they'd talk to me, and I'd like take their photo and talk to them, and then I would like go back without my camera and feel like, oh, what am I doing here? Like, why am I at this place? Like, am I just gonna like talk to strangers now, like without having a camera? uh so I think I was like much better socially before I was like bringing a camera everywhere I went, but I'm pretty good with people generally, I think, at least on short-term basis.
I actually that's such an honest admission too, because sometimes when my other half Jay isn't with me at certain social events, I'm like, man, where's a wall? Where's a corner of the room that I can lean up to and just kind of like vanish for a little bit? You do get comfortable with that social crutch, like you pitch the person out there, like I'm gonna do now, because Jay is an Isle of Dog fanatic. She loves Isle of Dog, so I think that's funny.
Cool.
Jay, is there anything here that like spoke that she's talked to me about being in the dark room before because she went to art school, so she knows way more about
Cool, cool.
photography than I do.
Oh, I sucked at it. I mean, I did it, but it was like, how do you get up at like 8 in the morning and then be in a dark room for like another 2 hours? It was tough. I was not really, the moment I found out that photography, there's like a whole branch of photography that's about access, that made me understand photography so much more. Because you have people who set up like really elaborate shoots, or like basically almost like a film shoot, but then you have people who have unique access to places that you couldn't go as a normal person, and that's where you see all the weird and like all the disturbing and interesting stuff.
Yeah, that's certainly where I've made my living.
What do you
So
mean
you have,
disturbing and interesting stuff, Jay?
I mean, I'm like, okay, so I'm doing the visual guides, right? I'm pulling up photos, and once in a while, I'll catch a glimpse of like a nude nipple, and I have to like quickly scroll back, okay? So I'm not one to be disturbed by like nudity, right? But how did you like stumble into that kind of like not safe for work photography?
um it's a good question. It actually started in high school when my girlfriend at the time was leaving town. She like went to Hawaii, where she was from, for a month, and she bought me like a Polaroid camera so that I could shoot some like nudes of her, so that like I wouldn't cheat on her or something while she was gone. And like I just started like shooting my friends like topless on this Polaroid camera. It was just like a thing. I used to carry this little binder around with me, and like it was just like a thing among my like social like crew. Um, and then like later in life, it was just like girlfriends and like people I was dating, I was shooting. It wasn't like part of my work or anything. Um, but like when I first moved to New York, I like one of my friends was a director, and he made like he used to make horror movies. I mean, he still does. He makes like these B horror movies, but he directed a Halloween porn for the site called Burning Angel. And so he invited me to like a Burning Angel party, and so I met some of these girls, and they just like I became friends with them, and I started like shooting them. And then he went to the AVN Awards in Vegas, and another friend of mine was DJing a party at the AVN Awards, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go with you guys. Let's just like get weird and hang out. Um, and then I shot the AVN Awards every year from then on for like up until last year. I was the first year I've missed it since 2008, and so it just sort of became my beat, like people wanted those photos. I would like shoot it for Vice or for Village Voice or LA Weekly or whatever it was. And I would shoot it as like a subculture, not as like, hey, here's a bunch of like porn people. It's like, oh, here's like what's happening behind the scenes. Like here's, um, sort of like the boredom of it, not just like the excitement of it. Like here's, the weird stuff that's going on. And so, through that, I ended up dating an adult performer, and she would introduce me to her friends, and I'd shoot. I shot for Hustler for a while and Playboy and stuff like that. Um, and I've never shot like actual adult stuff. It's always been like on the margins of it because I just don't have any like I don't want my work to be um like the sexuality is not my interest. Um like I like taking two different types of photos of like naked people. Like I want it to be either like some really pretty photos that like are kind of like artistic or just like content, like here's some nice pretty photos because we gotta put them on our OnlyFans or whatever. And then I like shooting wild shit, and I like being at those like parties or like back, whatever it is where there's like crazy, sex stuff going on that I can photograph and document. But that's not like me trying to get off to that, or like I don't want people looking at that and be like, oh, this is like sexy to me. Like it's just like, oh shit, what the fuck is happening? That's what I want. Um, so it's like finding this balance between nudity and art. Um, and then the internet went and ruined all that shit, and you can't post anything on social media without getting banned, and it's just a real bummer. So all that stuff is just going to be in zines and books and paywalled stuff like my OnlyFans, and it's a real bummer. But maybe that'll change one day, and people will be less hung up about a nipple.
I really hope people get less hung up about nipples. I saw a ton of them when I went to Europe. Wow, Jay, that was a great question. And that was such a great explanation. And I fucking can relate so hard. Like, because Jay will walk in sometimes and she'll be like, why are you watching that? And I'm like, yo, this shit is crazy. And it's just like, it's like, I'm not into it. It's like that's what I feel about when I look at your photography. Your photo is like like blink and I took a photo of like a story I go and tell my friend. And it's like I tell my friend, yo, you wouldn't believe this. I saw this at this event, blah, 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 yada, 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 yada. Yeah, New York right there. And then you are the one that's actually taking the photo. Why on earth did you not take the photos last year for the award show? Because that's a big deal, man.
I just I thought it was like later in January, and it was in early January, and I just like didn't have my shit together, and the hotel rooms were $500 a night, and I didn't have a client figured out, and it made no sense for me to go. But I hopefully will go this year. I'm actually shooting a convention. There's a convention in New Jersey called Exotica, which is like an adult convention. And I went to the very first one, and this is their 15th anniversary. So they like hired me to come back and shoot it again. So that's actually in like next weekend. So that should, or maybe 2 weekends. I don't know.
We're all
No,
about
it is next
supporting.
weekend. Yeah.
We're all about supporting the sex industry out here. It's important. I mean, the award show when people came back and talked to me about it, I mean, it's really an industry. I mean, it's incredible what these performers have to go through. People are over here bitching about putting a Q-tip up their nose to do a COVID test. These performers are having to do a lot more than that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like it's respect, and then also like it the money that's in there is big money. You know what I mean? Like they had Cardi B out there, I believe 3 years ago, and it was not they paid her some big old bands for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's been a surprising amount of like big name hip hop acts who've been at the AVNs. That it's pretty funny to see. Like you know, Cardi B is a pretty good example.
Hell yeah. And with that, we got somebody up on stage, Jew Hefner, who does an incredible show every Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. with J6, the guy who does our jingle in the beginning and the end. And I heard that he's coming up to New York soon. So hey, maybe we'll have to link up. I know that our guest up here probably knows every great dive bar that's still in existence in the city that could take us to.
That's what's up, man. I appreciate that. Thank you, Boo. Greg, Jay, appreciate you, Nate. Never met you before, but good to meet you here. Just got a question regarding your camera. What are you using, and what's your go-to lens when you're in like gung-ho style of shooting?
When I go to a photo shoot, I bring 6 cameras, so that's not really a great question. I mean, it's hard to answer that. My like main go-to digital camera is a Nikon Z6, and like if you're like an event photographer, like 24 to 70 2.8 is like the only lens that I ever use. So as far as like main stuff like that, that's your answer. The 24 to 70 2.6 is, I mean 2.8 is the one.
Have you ever brought like the gear that you thought was going to be like, this is going to be the thing, and then you show up to the event and you realize you're like, oh, this is not the. Has that ever happened to you before?
Yeah, just recently actually, I was shooting a music festival for Sailor Jerry, that rum company, and uh, they did not get me a photo pass, which kind of screwed everything up. And so I needed like a much longer lens to be able to like photograph the bands. And fortunately, it was like a 2 weekend festival, and in between, my girlfriend came and visited me, so I actually had her bring me the long lens. So I had it for the next weekend, which I did have a photo pass for, so I didn't even really need it. But it was still it felt awful to like not have the gear I needed. It's like something I would never bring, because if I want to be close to people, and if I'm not, I don't want to shoot it. So I rarely use a long lens. But I sort of needed it, and I didn't have it, and it would, I looked into renting it, and I just didn't have time to deal with it. So yeah, it happens. One time my camera, the battery was just dead. Even though I charged it, it was just the battery was toast, and for some reason I didn't bring a backup, which I almost always do. Um, and the event was on a boat, and I was just stuck on this boat with no camera, and I had to shoot the entire thing with my phone. And then I cropped every photo so it looked not like an iPhone photo, and ran like a filter over it, and no one noticed.
Hell yeah, you
You
got
know,
to
they'll say
improv.
things like, everybody's a photographer now with an iPhone, but like, you're not really a photographer until you know what you're doing with the camera. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's good that it's accessible. People can take really great stuff, and I'm obviously, like, it's hurt my business that iPhones exist, but I think it's good for photography. I think digital photography has made people get so much faster, better, so much better, faster, and I love that.
I,
Um,
I love it too. I can take 20 photos, get one good one, and delete the other 19 photos. I'm the timekeeper up here. We got 16 minutes left, and I love to keep it laser focused, y'all. Black Dave, how are you doing today? Thank you for coming up
yeah,
here.
Dave, what's up?
Hey, how's it going? As you know, I am a Tumblr aged follower. And so something that I think, and you've talked about it kind of, I think Jay was alluding to it. Um, Something I think is really interesting in the last like maybe year or 2 years is, and I don't know if anyone said the word, but like the resurgence of indie sleaze,
Yeah,
and how like you are an OG of that.
yep.
Um, and like, what are your thoughts, feelings, vibes on the resurgence of it? And are you seeing photographers like kind of doing it again, or are we just doing something where we're pulling up old photos and enjoying that time?
Um, Firstly, I think we're a little early. I think that's going to come back in a much bigger way in a few years. but it's definitely starting to come back. You know, there's that Indie Sleaze Instagram. I mean, I started my own Indie Sleaze account, which they pulled up earlier, which is Vintage DBB on Instagram. Um, and you know, I'm psyched about it. And I'm really hoping I can like parlay. The reason I do that Indie Sleaze account is I'm really hoping like I can parlay that into doing it now. You know, I keep seeing photos that are like on ad campaigns that looks like photos I took in 2008, and I want some of that money. I want people to hire me for that old stuff. Um, and yeah, it is coming back, both you know, aesthetically and like socially. I think that I don't know, people would like to live in a world with like more fun. Uh, and you know, it's hard to have the fun we did with iPhones everywhere and social media everywhere, and you know, like um, you know, the sort of the culture of everybody getting annoyed with each other about everything. But you know, I think we'll get back to it, and I do think a lot of that stuff will come back. You know what's funny is that the reason I started my Indie Sleaze account is because I was in a DM chat talking about some photographers who will remain nameless, who are basically like taking Terry Richardson style photos and like passing it off as like you know the new thing, and I was like, these, you know, there's these photos that look like American Apparel ads from, you know, the mid 2000s. And so I started going and I was like, oh, I have photos that I took that look just like that. Like, let me pull up these photos that look like, you know, photos that are selling for a lot on the internet right now. Um, and I just started pulling a bunch of these old photos, and that's how I started this Instagram almost exactly a year ago. Um, and Dave, like shout out to you. It's so funny that you were like a fan of my work because, you know, when I first found out about NFTs, it was like listening to you and you know a few other people on Clubhouse like helped me so much figure out what I was doing. Um, you know, just like simple stuff like how to get a MetaMask. You know, so thanks a lot for that.
Yo, shout out Black Dave. Everybody go give Black Dave a follow. And Black Dave asks a great question. Black Dave, if there's something else more you want to say, please do, or I'm going to pass it to the next person.
I was just going to say my photography years have been inspired by you, and of course Terry Richardson is everyone else in that fucking era. I started shooting in like 2012, so I totally get it.
Thank you so much, Black Dave. This is exactly why I have guests on this show like this every single week, because I purposely pop my bubble. It's great to pop your bubble. Everybody give it a follow, share the room, like it. We need this bubble to get more popped more often. Oh, I'm going crazy over there because Nate came off mute. Shadow, I'm going to you. You got a question? You got a thought? What's goody?
Hey, Boo. Hi, Nate. I just wanted to say first off, I really love your work. I just went to your page and I love the photos you have. I was taking a look at your website. Maybe I'll grab one of those magazines. I think they are. They're like $15. Is that
Yeah,
what that
yeah,
is?
yep. There's I mentioned it like briefly earlier, but there's also like an NFT collection and a an edition. And if you get the edition, I think it's like 0.03 ETH. It you know you get the NFT, and then you also get I send you a zine in the mail for free. And then the collection, you know, no one seemed to have cared about that at all. So I haven't been like really pushing that hard. But if you get the special edition with one of those, and it comes with another 8x10 print of your NFT as well. Um, and I think you can get to all that through my pin tweet.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
Awesome, man.
Um, Nate, I had one question. What software do you use, or like I'm interested in that.
Like for what?
Like, do you use like an editing software for your photos?
No, I don't edit. I
All
mean,
raw?
I so I use Photoshop to like bring up a photo that's like too dark, or to like maybe fix some color corrections, or like mess with the levels a tiny little bit. But um, I always operate with the idea that like you should just take the photo right the first time. And so I don't really mess with a lot of post production, especially with my film stuff. I don't really touch it at all, except maybe if there's like a weird green hue or something that came out from like the developing process. But for the most part, you know, I mean, I use Photoshop, I guess is the answer, but I don't use it. I use it sparingly.
Okay, I love that really, because that shows you that you're like really talented when taking photos. And I also think the same way. I take photos. I'm not amazing at it yet, but yeah, I hate the editing part. So I love that you do that and you just run with it like that and just fix like minor little things like that. Thank you,
Yeah.
Nate.
Yeah, I'm like, obviously I don't begrudge anyone who does Photoshop. Like I think some of this, you know, I still think some of it looks amazing. But it's just, you know, I still like think of my work, even if it's not documentary work, as documentary work. And so like doing a lot, anything I can't do in the darkroom, I don't want to do, you know, on with Photoshop. So I try to keep it pretty minimal.
It'd be awesome to get Nate with us, Boo, at an event. I would love to meet you, Nate. Like just to pick at your brain.
Yo, we definitely been talking about it. We definitely been trying. Maybe there'll be something like, you know, the crazy sex expo that's going on in New Jersey. You know, maybe we can get a couple +3s out there. I don't know if JPEG J will let me go out there unless I bring a Polaroid camera and I take photos, right, of everybody and pass it along. I love that. This has been such a fun space. I'm not closing it down yet. I got 8 more minutes. Don't worry. I'm just over here geeking and just loving it because this has been years in the making. You know what I mean? I've known this incredible individual for years, decades. We both were in RVA, Richmond, Virginia at one point. You know, the graffiti scene, the tattoo scene, the toy scene. It goes on and on. You just really love like culture, just like I love culture. You know what I'm saying? So do me a favor here. Tell us where we can go support all of the projects you've done, because our boy there, Black Dave, reminded us that, you know, he found you on Tumblr. So this might be
Yeah.
like Shadow for the first time finding you through OpenSea, Tezos, whether it may be something else. So I want to make sure we plug all that, especially the Juggalos, bro. People love that. You got 3 ETH on that, baby. That ain't chump change.
Dude, I love my Juggalos, man. I that project I started in August 2021, and it's still ongoing. There's going to be like under 100, but I still have some more drops left. How many are there right now? 75. So we still got maybe 20 more to go. And I just want that project to just be like an ongoing thing, where I just put up some of my best ones. I mean, eventually that's going to be a book. I've been documenting Juggalo since 2010, and you know, one day I'm going to put a book out. And I thought like, oh, maybe NFTs will be the way, like, to pay for the Juggalo book, but you know, it hasn't quite worked out like that. But there will be a Juggalo book, and you know, people who bought those NFTs will definitely get a discount or something on those, the book or free book or something when it comes out. But you know, I'm not going to forget all the people that have supported me and picked up stuff like that. I actually have like a really big project in the works that hopefully will exist. It's my next thing, now that Off the Hook is done. And anyone who buys any of my NFTs is going to get, you know, free mint to it. I actually have like an official mint pass for it as well. Maybe I should put that. That should be in my link tree. It's not there yet, but it will be. But that project is going to be really cool, and I don't want to like say too much about it because I've been talking about it for over a year and it doesn't exist yet. So, you know, maybe I should just do it instead of talking about it. But it's coming, and you know, anyone who like supports my work, man, I'll pay you back. I promise.
I love how just genuine you've been. You're not like telling, you're like, where's the link at? I think it's like 0.03. Like, it's like more like, if you like it, go buy my shit, support me. Like, and that's what I love about you. Hey, that's why I got a zine here. And you gave me this. I should have bought it. Shame on me.
Well,
You
you
know
can
what I'm
buy the
saying?
new one, man.
I'm going to have to after this show. Are you kidding me? After the time you've given us? Now, you were spicy earlier. I got to ask you this question because I
Yeah.
ask all my guests this. The space, it's wild. What in the space would you like to stay the same, vanish, or change?
I just wish we could like separate NFTs from shitcoins. Like it just like kills me when the people who are like talking about artists are like talking about, I don't know, man, like people are like, oh, like I love these photographers, we gotta support these photographers, and then like a week later it's like some new meta that they're on about, like, oh, we gotta, like, let's devote all our time to AI and stuff. You know, like AI is cool, but like when you're doing all this stuff, I don't know, man. I just, that kind of like jumping to the next thing and sort of caring about the money of it instead of like the culture is like a bummer. But I do think there's a lot of great culture here. We just need to like find it again. I mean, it's like when you go to these events in real life, you know, it's like you're like, oh right, this is great. This is what this is about. Like, this is why we're here. Um, and like you know, I'm about to book my tickets for Basel, and like I can't wait to go out there and do all that. I can't wait for the next NFT NYC because like sitting around talking to people about art and tech and like that stuff is like so exciting to me. And the stuff where we're looking at charts is like so boring to me. And I don't know, like I don't know, like I just man, more parties, more art, less making money, less losing money.
Yeah, you got the crowd hyped there. I'm hyped. You're going to Art Basel?
Yeah, for sure.
What days are you down there? Everybody, you got. Hey, if you need a photographer, this is one you need for your event. I think Rug Radio's doing down there. I think there might be some employees in the audience. I'm not going to be there, so I can't get my hands in the pie. But just saying, just nudging, just pushing a little there.
Yeah, I definitely hope to do some work while I'm there. I'm a big Miami Dolphins fan, and they happen to be playing on Monday night that week. So I was like, you know what? I'll book these tickets and figure out the rest. Go watch some football, and hopefully hang out with some friends, and you know, maybe take some photos.
Yeah, you've been super chill and like mellow and just straight to the point on this interview. Is that like when you like cut loose and you're like, I'm gonna tear your, F off your shoulder and down your throat? Is that when you just get wild?
This is me, wild man. This is how I get.
And man, I couldn't take this if I was at a football game and I was all wild and you were just being like this to me. I'd be like, I'd throw my glizzy at you.
No, I do tend to punch some walls and scream a little bit during football. And football actually is probably the most animated I get for sure. I do not handle it super well.
Okay, two fast fire quick questions. One, have you chipped off the giant ice block in your freezer that you collect all of your film next to? And is sometimes you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to use this film for this shoot. Like, how greedy are you with that?
That ice block, man, really fucked up my life. I've been trying to be careful with it and making sure it's not going to leak all over my film again. I mean, all the films in the tubes, it's fine, but like some of those were, like my boxes of Kodachrome still in the box was kind of a bummer to get that wet. But yeah, this fridge, man, this thing sucks. It's right here. I keep my film and my energy drinks in it.
This is how much I follow you on all three of your Instagrams and all of your socials because he just be posting his daily life. Okay, I'm in the city. Where are you taking me to eat tonight? Where are we going to go get some food at? Where's your staple?
I literally just texted my girlfriend saying we should get like terrible Chinese food from down the block. So I guess that's what we're doing. As far as like food in New York, man, I don't think I have like spots like that anymore that I love. I mean, there's a lot of good food, like if you're trying to get pizza, like I don't even have a good pizza recommendation anymore. My place is gone. Like I like artichoke. It's not really pizza though. It's not like a New York pizza, but it's pretty good pizza soup if you're into that. Criff Dogs, that's a spot. If you want a hot dog, I don't know. Great question that I don't have an answer for.
Yo, thank you again for all the honesty. And thank you everybody that tuned in today. This has just been an incredible show. Seriously, like, oh my gosh, literally years in the making. I have it now. I've got an interview with you. Yes, we've collabed. We once wanted to do an art show when we had a gallery, but I guess you could say it was failed. Hey, I wouldn't say it's failed. We move on, right?
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I appreciate you with coming up here today. Everybody give Nate a follow, Igor, Driven by Boredom. Go support, go get the zine, go get the NFT with the zine. You can even get the one of one and say you're the only one to do it. I mean, seriously, like Black Dave came up here to give you a little more history on there, really dropping those real terms. Like, you know, I had it on the interview. I had it out here on the layout. It's incredible how many people will come up here and or the guests will answer questions that I already have written out. So, hey, we've done our job today. So again, let me just shout out the room real quick. Black Dave, everybody go give him a follow. Rug Radio, Leslie, she was our incredible guest last week. Golden doing incredible things with us creators. Quinn was here the whole time. Thank you, Quinn. Huddle CEO, we've interviewed him too. Love you for being here. Dragon, thank you for coming here. Cool Night, loving the invisible friend. J6, we got you with that outro music that you did shortly. Shadow, NYC, always connecting, always reaching out, always coming up there. Man, that guy's going to go far with that young youth. Skidley, you've done it 54 times, baby. I hope I'll see you here next week for 55. Kiro, I see you there, baby. Thanks for the RT and the like. Button, who's got the button? Final, Ryan, we got to get up with you because that's another tri-state person that we haven't connected with. So yeah, maybe we'll do like a photo thing. We'll get Nate to do it by us. Grad, are you still in the cab? Grad's out there in the cab. Rise, Clonex NYC, Abstract, Gear. Oh my gosh, I got Kramer Duck, you're a gear with your emoji. And Zidane XYZ. Okay, everybody. With that, shout out Rug Radio Live. We're here, Artifact Creators, Clonex NYC. This is Web3 with Boo. I'm your host, of course. We got JPEG J co-host. By the way, I got some boring stuff here, but it's not boring. It's exciting. This weekend, happening in LA, Junior and Friends, hosted by Vega Genesis. Oh my God, we've sent $1,000 worth of designer toys, plushies, art, and stickers out there. If you buy a $35 ticket, you don't even got to be there, and you can enter to win one of these items, and they'll mail it to you. Hey, if you go there, you'll get tacos, tunes, and toys. Also, I want to tell everybody, security check and safety, install Wallet Guard, get a ledger. I just checked my local Best Buy. They're $55 to get a ledger. It's cheap. Also, tune in tomorrow, because on Stapleverse, woo, baby, it's going down with Jeff Staple, G-Money, and me, baby. So guess what? I'll see y'all tomorrow, and we'll be back next week, Thursday, 6 p.m. for Web3 with Boo. Everybody have a good day. Peace out.
Thanks for having
I got to
me.
do the music.